Welcome back to the Future Self podcast. Welcome to season 4, episode 15. I just wanted to start this episode out by saying how proud I am of you for tuning in to another Future Self episode. You're tuning in because you care to learn, see a new perspective, understand, realize, and allow life for your future version to be even better. Today's episode might seem slightly different to the type of guest I would normally talk to, but I knew that the backing dynamics behind the success of this individual was too good to pass up on. Today's episode is with Tristan. He is a confidence coach and someone that embodies traits to putting yourself out there, more extroverted than introverted. It is an episode I am so grateful for the opportunity of. I'm so happy with how it turned out. Tune in because it is great. Number 1, speak to your past self or your future self.
Get on YouTube. Make YouTube content. Just do it. Chase after that dream. Go. You want to be a YouTuber since you were a little kid. Just do it.
Number 2, what's a fear of yours?
Not being enough.
Number 3, are you proud of who you are?
Absolutely. There's room for improvement, but absolutely, I like who I am.
Number 4, is fake it till you make it real.
Nah, be yourself. And if yourself is shitty, just be like, I'm shitty, but I'm growing into a better person. Always be growing.
Number 5, what are you currently progressing within yourself?
Meditation. An hour a day has been allowing me to drop fears that have been such big walls that took over my entire worldview for the longest time. And I'm allowing myself to grow into a really financially abundant, successful man.
Number 6, do you always have a choice, yes or no?
I mean, that's a yes. You always have a choice. You always have a choice. Yes.
Number 7, where is somewhere in the world you want to visit?
Greece.
Number 8, what makes you happy?
Sunshine, conversations, beautiful girls, and good connections between people.
Number 9, do you ever question your confidence?
Absolutely.
Number 10, is your comfort zone something to occasionally step out of or live out of?
Oh, depends on the life you want to live. Live out it.
Okay. Tristan, you can talk to my audience. You can also say it directly to me. Just give a background rundown. Who are you? What do you do? And why do you do what you do?
My name is Tristan Yoder, but you might know me as Tristan Social. What I do is right now, for the most part, make short form content of me talking to beautiful women on the street, but also giving guidance to an audience of over 1 million people, specifically 96% men, on how to be a better social person, how to do it soberly, how to engage with people with a specific focus on daytime interactions. If you want to learn night game, if you want to learn club game, I'm probably not the guy for you. But if you want to learn how to flirt with girls at the grocery store or at the beach or sometime in a daytime setting, I'm one of the best in the world at it. And I really enjoy what I do because the messages that I get saying you helped me change my social life and my confidence just off of your videos alone, I mean, that's a lottery ticket every time it hits.
I remember seeing you at the gym and the energy you had was super infectious. I remember you wouldn't remember, but I remember you walked past me, threw your head back, "What's up, dude?" And then you just continued to say hello to so many individuals. Like we spoke about before when I started this, before we started this episode, you hold so much value in confidence, coming across as an extrovert, backing yourself and stepping into something where you're not held back from the fear of other individuals. Do you think confidence is a genetic trait or it's a skill that you learn and develop?
Oh, it's definitely a skill that you learn and develop. It's not genetic. I'd say it's more cultural. It's more environmental than anything because it's a skill set. If I don't talk to people for a day, I feel it on the next day. I feel rusty. I feel like I have to get that social engine warmed up again. And people have different foundational baselines of where their social confidence level is. If you come from a social family, you have a higher percentage to be an inherently social person. But if you don't come from a social family, that doesn't mean that you're doomed for lack of socialness. Like, I think every man needs a role model to teach them how to be a man. And that role model has a bigger significance, especially in the adolescence years, on the man that you're going to be if you don't make conscious change into who you want to be in the future. So I'd say that.
Who was the role model for you?
So my dad taught me how to be polite, but Will Smith taught me how to be a black man. Watching The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, I grew up in a very like white town, Hemet, California. And my dad taught me how to be a gentleman, how to really care and connect with people on like a polite level. But Will Smith taught me how to be extroverted. He taught me how to kind of have like out there mannerisms and animations. And then also my mom as well. My mom was a very social person. And I remember watching her and being like, dude, she's crazy. She's talking to strangers. I can't talk to strangers. Now my whole life is talking to strangers. So those three role models were really pivotal in me becoming the person that I am today.
What I always get curious when I sit down with coaches, because I feel personally a coach is nothing more special than someone who has gone through something many others don't or don't know how to, and we help them with that. Why do you coach individuals? Why do you care to see more men confident? Why do you care to see that be a trend that builds? Like, why bother helping other people?
I think inherently what I do is a net positive for the world. When I walk into a place and I smile at people and I give a thumbs up and I give good energy, it's selfish, to be honest with you. Like, I give good energy because I want to receive good energy back. It's a reciprocation effect. But I like what I do because, one, it comes naturally to me now because I've done it so much. My background was from knocking doors selling solar panels, so I could get genuinely 50 interactions with complete strangers in their place of comfort in a single day, and then do that 6 or 7 days a week. So compounding, you got 300 interactions that you would not have had otherwise over the course of a week. Some people don't have 300 interactions in their lifetime. Like, they have a set number of people that they hang out with, that they work with, that they find themselves in. So I was able to do that multiple summers in a row. And I like what I do because I get to see people and watch live their walls start to break down, and what they thought was reality to them start to simmer. So a big part of my coaching program, it's where I hop on a call with them and they go to a grocery store, they go to a mall, they go to the beach, and I force them to talk to people. Like, hey, go talk to that person right now. Now, I'm not asking you, I'm telling you. And they're like, I don't know what I'm doing. That's exactly why we're doing this right now. So to watch that dissolution of what they thought was real, it's magic.
Do you ever have the experience when you're coaching someone, they give you the phrase, I can't?
Oh, yeah.
How do you navigate that?
So funny enough, my most viral video, it's labeled "Stay in the Pocket." This girl says, "I have to go," and I say, "You have to go, or are you choosing to go?" And that simple question got her thinking, and then she eventually turned back around. As 100 million views on this one video. But I question my students is like, you can't or you won't, and that question right there is like, well, yeah, I won't. Okay, don't bullshit me. Don't lie to me. Like, if you can't, there's a physical or a mental, like, true circumstance that's not allowing you to progress past that, and then we'll adjust accordingly. But you're just being a bitch. And I'm gonna call you out for your tendencies. Like, your logical reaction and your logical justification of this is just a response to the emotion of you're scared.
I always, in the coaching I do, work around the idea that the more ownership you take in situations that are and are not your fault, the more control you have over your life. And the phrase, I can't, or the finger pointing, it's not me, it is something else, is someone else giving their power away to something other than themselves. I'm massive with my own self-development on taking ownership in every situation. Even if someone else does wrong by me, what was my role in that? Because if you can't accept and understand a role you have in it, you have no power to change it. Let's say someone is so self-convinced that they can't. You say, well, you can. And they say, no, I can't. You say, well, you could, you just don't want to. And they tell you, I can't. How do you navigate that? Is a person like that just too far gone that until they accept it, there's nothing that can be done? Or is there a way around that I can't phrase?
That's an amazing question. I'm going to break it up into a couple different parts. I actually have a accountability tattoo. So the second portion right here says skill issue, and it's a reference to chess. And it's one thing that I love about chess is there's no room for outside influence. Like, I can't say, oh, the pigeon knocked over the pawn and put it there. Everything is recorded. I moved the pawn to d4. I did this move. I did this move. I did this move. And it's recorded. There's no room for, oh, this person, that person. It's you versus the other person, you versus the computer. And everything is step by step. I made this decision. So if there's something that I don't have personally in my life, is there something that I'm lacking or like I lose the game? Skill issue. Get better. It's raining outside, dude. I shouldn't have chosen to be in this at this place at this time. Or like, oh, that person hit me. Man, what was I doing on the road at that time? Like, I should have thought I should be in a helicopter. You know, taking that personal responsibility to that extreme degree allows everything to be so much easier. And if somebody is talking to me and they say they can't, and then I'm really good at calling out the elephant in the room, especially with women. You have to be able to do this with women. But I'll ask them the question like, hey, do I have the results that you're looking for? And they're like, yeah, you have the results that I'm looking for. And are you willing to take direction, or are you just going to keep fighting me along the path here? Because if you're just going to keep fighting me, we can just stop it right now. You can have your money back. It's fine. Like, if I can't give you a result or a transformation, I'm not going to take your money. And at that point, they're like, either it's been one situation out of maybe 100 where he's like, I can't. I'm like, all right, no problem, bro. No problem. If you want to fight for your limitations, you get to keep them. But you don't come to me wanting to battle me when I'm trying to help you. Because here's the thing, money aside, I can only help so many individuals in a coaching program. There's X amount of minutes on my clock. And if you're going to fight me along the way, and I tell this to girls, if you're not going to like hop on the train, you don't have to be here. Like, we can go. I met you X hours ago. We can stop it here. And I thinking with that type of abundance mentality, if there's always going to be another one, there's always going to be another client, there's always going to be another person that you can interact with, there's always going to be another opportunity that the world is going to give you. So I'm going to take advantage of this one. And if this is not the one for me, well, then that it wasn't the one for me. It wasn't meant to be. I can only desire what was meant for me inside of the universe.
I would see what you just said in somewhat to be reverse psychology, because I have often at times the experience of clients saying, I've had a really hard day, I'm going to self-sabotage, or this is what I'm wanting to do. And my response at times is, okay, do it. And then their response is, oh, actually, maybe I won't do it. And I think one thing I've learned is people just love to complain. And there's a role, I think, in calling that out, but also just letting someone complain. Because I've noticed if I always give solutions and always give a pathway to walk out of, it's not always a positive outcome. Sometimes someone just wants to complain. Because I remember throughout my life, I've wanted to complain and someone's given me the right response. And in my head, I'm like, fuck you, man. Like, just let me whinge about it.
Yeah.
But that idea of, being able to flicker between the both is really interesting. I asked the question, fake it till you make it. Is that a thing? Confidence is not an actual aspect. It's not an actual thing. It is I would say a belief. I would also say a skill set. So if someone is not confident, how do they then act confident if they don't have it? If they just fake, surely they have to fake that till they eventually get to that point of confidence.
I thought the same thing until I went to, I can't remember his name, but this is a guy that would just spirit this, the channel the spirit into him. He's world renowned guy. Like, I can't remember his name, the great something, but this random regular looking guy, kind of glasses, a little bit bald. He would sit in a chair and like channel a spirit, and the spirit would answer questions to the audience. And it was one of the most cool experiences I've ever had. But somebody said, hey, I'm not confident. And the spirit said back, well, if you say that you're not confident, how are you so confident in that? And it's like, oh, so you're just placing that confidence that you have into the wrong bucket. You're confident that you can't talk to people. It sounds like you put your life on it. You're pretty confident in that. Oh, okay. So you are confident.
Yeah.
You're just confident in the wrong thing. Ah, okay. So we can change that. You just take that energy and shift it to a different place. And when he said that, I was like, oh, stealing. That's going into the swipe file. That's going into the save file right there.
Man, that's such a cool idea. I seen on a Chris Williamson podcast one time that almost to a T of what you just said, if you fake bravery in a moment that you need to be brave, that is being brave. Because if you're faking bravery, you are being brave. Mm-hmm. Why did you bother going all in on confidence? And females aside, if that's your answer, because that's a big part of the aspect of what you do, what else has it impacted and progressed in your life?
So I decided to go all in on confidence because, I mean, there's always the inner trauma, the inner child that got bullied in the past and wanted to be able to defend himself and express himself. But I have a saying, it's the opposite of expression is depression. And I think even bigger than, well, confidence lies inside of this, but deeper than that, it's just the ability to express energy. And when we start depressing energy, when we have something that we want to say, or something that we want to express, or somebody that we want to talk to, and we deny ourselves that desire, we say no, I actually don't want that, when we really do. There's two conflicting battles that are happening inside of us internally. And that divide, that shift, that spreading, that rifting, that is what causes psychosomatic illnesses. That's what causes, your gout in your toe, or like, your bad habits, your bad eating. Like, the denial of your desire time and time and time again, it creates a lack of trust internally. And if you can't trust yourself, you're kind of screwed at that point, because it's like saying, I don't trust the quarterback on my team to make plays. And your quarterback on your team knows that you don't trust them to make plays. So there's such a divide and a rift in between that nothing is going to ever get done. No progress is going to be being made. And you're just scared to move forward. And that's why I like jumping in on it, because I've seen the transformation in myself to allow myself to get in the driver's seat and to trust myself to make the right decision. And I feel like so many men nowadays lack that trust, that internal guidance of saying, hey, I'm going to make the right decision. And if I make the wrong decision, I trust myself enough to get back and course correct. And yeah, I want to be that for the world. I want to be able to be at least a light inside of the lighthouse of other different lights that circle around, and be able to say, like, hey, I give a net positive to the world.
From your experience then, how do you build self-trust?
Experience, pattern recognition. So guys are like, how are you so confident with girls? It's like, I've talked to 70 other girls that have similar things about her. But that first girl that I talked to, I was scared shitless. I was so nervous to talk to her. But I talked to one girl, curly hair, yoga pants, nose piercing. Okay, you talk to one girl, 6 girls, 15 girls that share those traits, you start to see patterns between them. And you start to see, okay, they responded well to this compliment. Or, when I talked about this topic, they kind of shied away. And now that you see the girl 71, curly hair, yoga pants, nose piercing, you have a repertoire of other experiences that you can fall back on. But I think the scariest place for people to start is the gray area of like, I have no idea. And it's like, okay, you're going to continue to have no idea until you build an idea. And once you build an idea, that's why people are so successful with Facebook advertising. They're so successful with building businesses, because they've seen different experiences over different time periods. And like, the people that are really good at business, they're not good at business just one time. They're good at business 10 times, 15 times, because of an understanding of a psychology and seeing the patterns that develop inside of people. So if you're looking for confidence, you got to just start filling your bucket with experience as much as you can. Directed confidence, like, I want to get good at this thing. Let me go hang out with these people that are good at it. Let me put myself in situations to be bad at it so that I can get good at it.
So I have a similar system called stacking your resume, and it is about creating enough experience you can recall on, this is why I can do it. So I traveled the world solo last year for 8 months. I've never done that before, but I have navigated a hectic week of business and been successful. I have stuck to my own training when life's been chaotic. I have managed tens and tens, if not hundreds of people. I've done this, this, and this. So that was my stacking the resume for me to believe I'm able to do something I haven't done before. I have this system called 3-2-1. And weirdly enough, I stole it from Steve-O.
Okay.
Steve-O from Jackass. So he used to do 3-2-1 with his pranks. If he was scared shitless, the minute he started 3-2-1, he would commit to it. And I do that with things that scare me. It doesn't matter how fucking long it takes me to count 3-2-1. It might be an hour before I say 3. But the minute I say 3, 2 follows, 1 follows, and then I go and do it. I had this question that popped in my head while you were saying that. So you think it is a quantity, not a quality game? And I'm not saying game in the sense of with girls. I'll talk about the dynamic in the background. A lot of people get scared to do something because they're not going to be good at it. Is the good experiences the reason you become successful, or the more experiences of something that you have?
Quantity is a quality if you get enough of it. So Alex Ramosi talks about this. It's just called raw violence. And the reason why I was able to grow a social media platform so expansively in a short amount of time was because raw violence. I was just putting out videos. Some of them hit, some of them missed. because I had a background of door-to-door sales and I was able to spark up good conversations with people, I had a baseline. Like before the videos ever started, say we were like 75% of the way there, but because I had so much quantity inside of that. And say you have one perfect conversation and you get a sale from it. I would rather have the sales rep that had 99 shitty conversations to get that one conversation instead of that sales rep that had one conversation and got the one close. Because what happens is on the next day, say they only make one call, you could, if you increase, 100%, you get two closes. But if you increase 100% over 200 calls, the compounding impact of that, it goes so much higher, so much faster. So to answer your question, quantity with enough of it becomes quality just by the fact that you have so many different experiences. Now, I'm not saying go knock on the empty on doors that are empty houses. That's a different type of quantity. But if you're looking to make marginal gains and to course correct and GPS, more the better for sure.
So is someone's success dictated in ratio to the rate of failures they have or successes they have?
No, I think that the success that somebody has is dictated by the amount of progress that they're making towards their goal. What is Earl Nightingale says, what is it? Success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. So if you understand where you're at and you understand where you're going and you understand that you're making progress, that's what happiness is for, I think, 99% of men. Because what happens is you have these titans of business that get to the upper echelon and then they don't have a project to work on anymore. And then they retire for 2 years and then they get back into business, not because they need the money, but because they want to experience the progress towards something again. And if you were to give me $10 million, and I had no way of reproducing that, I had no way of making progress on recreating that, I'd go crazy. You just hoard it. And a lot of people that win the lottery or get gastric bypass surgeries on their stomachs, about 80% of those people either go broke or they become overweight again because they don't have the resources to be able to recreate the success that they found. So I'd rather have somebody lose 5 pounds and know how they did it than somebody lose 100 pounds and not know how they did it, because that person can recreate it 20 times, but other person couldn't recreate it once.
The similarities between humans and different areas is so mind-blowing to me, because each time you've expressed something, I then come out with my version of that or the name I have for it. So the idea you were just talking about, I call real change needs real change. And this is why I think comparison is so dangerous, because you can compare to someone that blew up overnight or someone that won the lottery or someone that got a surgery to lose weight. But like you said, more often than not, it leads them back to where they started because nothing has really changed. And like all three of us were talking before we started this episode, there's a reason we don't do what you've started doing. So there's a reason it won't stay. And that's why, if you jump into something comparing to another person, like if I was to jump in and be like, oh, fuck you talk to 50 people every single day, and I'm like, I don't even talk to 2, and I try and match that, there's going to be a reason that doesn't work for me through my eyes, because there's a reason I'm not doing it now. But if I start with 5, with 10, 15, and build, I'd actually like to ask your perspective on that. Is your advice for your clients and people in general to just jump in the deep end and go at it, or is it to build up to it? Is it a slow exposure therapy like system?
I get good results in the gym, and it's not because I go to failure every single day. It's because I show up every single day. So if we were to give 2 people 1 month to learn basketball, and in 1 month you could spend 40 hours, I will take that person that spends an hour and a half really consistently 5 days a week to get that 40 hours than somebody that takes 3 days to learn basketball in 40 hours. Say they're spending, 13 hours a day or something like that. They're spending 13 hours a day learning basketball, everything that they can about basketball. They're going to learn a lot over those 3 days. What happens is time attrition starts to come in, and then other influences start to come in, and separation starts to come in. That person that did it for an hour and a half over, 20 days or something like that. Good numbers right there, Tristan. Good shit. But that person that did it 20 days over an hour and a half, I'll put him on my team before I put that person that crammed, because he gave his mind time to, like, if you try and overwater a seed, you're going to drown it. There's only so much that could be absorbed by the mind, the subconscious, in X amount of time. So when I'm working with clients and I'm in a supermarket with them, or I'm telling them like, hey, keep going, keep going, keep going, and I could feel that they reach that threshold, but all right, hey, let's take a break. We're going to come back tomorrow. Or let's take a break. We'll come back next week. No worries. You did great. Let's reflect on this. Because there comes a point of diminishing returns that everybody faces. And I mean, it doesn't matter if you're 10 years old or 100 years old. You can only absorb so much in X amount of time. So I'm much more of the camp of like, hey, I'd rather you go 75%, 100% of the days than 100%, 60% of the days. Because you're going to gain more from it over the time periods.
It's such a cool concept that ties in, with consistency.
Mm-hmm.
There's things you can't cheat that time gives you.
Mm-hmm.
So everything you express, you can do it great for a short period, but that will still not have the same impact or effect as if you do it average for a longer period. And this is why I push so hard on people not giving up. One thing I notice, and there's a pattern almost amongst every individual I work with around mindset and weight loss, they'll kill it and things are going great. Something pops up. They maybe fall off a little bit. It snowballs a little bit. And there's a defining moment of them either giving it up, that's it, everything's going to shit, or they continue through. And those that continue through, from my experience of that really defining moment, are the ones that stick to it almost forever. Because if you can push through consistently, you're going to have a better long-term outcome. Results at a peak don't compare to a result on a slow building graph. Mm-hmm. I'm going to throw some words at you.
Sure.
What do they mean to you, and what are the thoughts you have? Cringe, embarrassing, loser, awkward, not cool.
Just off the bat, cringe. It's a feeling that comes up in people that they don't approve of the actions done by another person just living their life. And when I see somebody comment cringe,
projection,
100%, it's like, oh, there's something inside of you that you're not comfortable with and that I'm comfortable with, and you want to make me feel uncomfortable about it so that you can feel better. Ah, okay. Yeah, cringe is one of my favorite words. It used to trigger me. It's like, why? You're cringe. No, you're cringe. But I'm like, yeah, it is a little cringe. Fuck it. It's whatever. I'm me. I'm just living my life.
The projection aspect I find, super interesting, because anytime I've ever thought someone else can't do something, it's because I either think I can't do it, or I think if I was in their shoes, I wouldn't be able to do it. Because there are certain things I know I can do that I would say, you can't do that, or that's not worth doing. But the thought process is a projection of, if I was in your shoes at the current period and point in time you're in, I wouldn't be able to do that. It's such an interesting topic, the idea of cringe and doing something embarrassing, because it ties in with that idea of something is weird, new, awkward, or not worth doing until it works. Mm-hmm. So the light bulb, for instance, the biggest thing that was almost cast him away from just connection with everyone, the development of the light bulb, it was a weird idea, and now it's the most base norm in third world countries, because something is cringe and shit and not worth doing until it works. Mm-hmm. Is fear around rejection, cringe, all those things, is it real, or is it your own mindset telling a story to you?
Yeah, it's the fear of rejection definitely isn't cringe, because it affects so many people. So there has to be something to it. There has to be some trigger that is apparent in a lot of different people. I would say to this, fear of rejection, fear of success, fear of anything, is not a reflection of your potential, but it's a reflection of your programming up to this point. And if we start to separate ourselves from, like, hey, I am not my actions, I am not my thoughts, these are programs that are running on the computer of me, then I can start to separate myself from it and take a look, like, okay, does this serve me? Does this not serve me? Let's alter this. How do I alter this? Do I study somebody else that has altered this, learning from their experiences? So the fear of rejection really just comes down to, there is a stress response that you look at somebody and you think, this person has value. Can I match their value? I'm afraid that I can't match their value. My response is to run away from the situation. But when I feel that, because I've altered it, there is value, I'm afraid that I'm not going to be able to match their value, that is a stress response. Let me lean into it. And I posted a reel the other day. It's the discomfort of avoiding discomfort is greater than the discomfort itself. And for me, nighttime game is discomfort. It's uncomfortable for me. But because I avoid the discomfort of getting good at it, which is going to be uncomfortable. And like when I find myself just jumping in, like, hey, you're cute. I like your face. Not a great pickup line, but it's better than nothing. It's like, I'll take 1 over 0. It's like you're comparing to 97, but hey man, 0 to 1 is an infinitesimal amount of percentage increase. And if we can get you to 1, we can get you to 5. We get you to 5, we get to 17. 17, we get to 34. Baby, we're making exponential gains after that. But you got to go, so we can get a starting point.
And I love the expression of compounding. It's the first few actions of anything are incredibly hard. 1 goes to 2, 2 to 4, 4 to 8, 8 to 16. It's a slow road, it's a long road. But then it starts to pick up. 8 to 16, 16 to 32, 32 to 64, to 128, and it really pushes and pushes and pushes. I agree wholeheartedly in that discomfort statement you said. I say the fear of doing something is a lot more scary than doing it itself. The idea of it is way more crippling than the action. Some people are scared to go to the gym. The idea of it is so crippling, but you can get in your car. You know how to drive your car. You know how to park. You know how to walk up to a door. You know how to walk into a door. You know how to say hello. So yeah, that idea of when we add everything together, we freak out. For me to think to walk down a really busy beach and approach someone, that is such a scary idea. But for me to ride my bike to the beach, walk on the beach, see one person, say hello, breaking it down is super small. And I think that's what a lot of people lack, the ability to break down and see it for what it is, not what you make it to be in your mind. Even today, it's like I could have easily compounded. I've got to take 30 kilos of podcast equipment. I've got to meet someone new. I've got to do this. But each thing individually, you should just have that skill set to see it for a single lens, not the dual lens will see it. Individually, getting here, saying hello, podcasting, setting up, having a conversation. They're all super, super simple things to do.
And I love that because whenever somebody says they're having a bad day, it's really like 3 things that are not well outlined on a piece of paper, and it feels like it's 17. And then because there's no start and no end, it's like a formless blob, and then people are afraid to attack it because they don't know where to start. And then you ask them like, okay, there's a cool quote from Outwitting the Devil. Doubt cannot live with questions. When you start to really question on a granular level, why am I afraid of this?
Dude, I love that.
Why am I afraid of this? Okay, because somebody told me to be afraid of it. Do I own that belief, or is it something that was given to me? Oh, okay. So do I really believe it? Not really. I just haven't gotten to the point of asking the question to the point where it doesn't make sense. Because if you take any fear, any doubt, anything, so few are actually valid. Like, hey, I'm afraid of venomous snakes. All right, valid, but are there any in the room right now? No. Are there any in a 10-mile radius? Probably not. Is that something that you should be fearing in the current moment then? No. If we were in the middle of the Amazon, like, all right, that's a valid fear, bro. That's something we got to be aware of when we're moving forward here. But like, it's kind of like bracing for a wave when you're in the sand. It's like you're standing there waiting for the wave to hit, and it's like 17 feet away, and it's like it's never going to reach you. So you're just standing there redlining your engine, tensing up, waiting to get hit by a wave that never comes. And then some people just live their entire lives like that. And it's like, bro, you've been living in a state of stress for so long because you haven't asked the question, am I even close to the wave to get hit? Somebody said, hey, wave's coming. And the body can't operate for high frequencies. Like if you try and redline an engine, like you're slamming on the gas in first gear, driving everywhere on the highway on first gear, the engine's gonna break down because you're not in the right gear, because you're not supposed to be in the high stress frequency. So really breaking down, okay, I'm feeling bad today. Why am I feeling bad today? I went to bed late. Okay, how many hours of sleep did you get? I got 4 hours of sleep. Okay, and what did you eat? Oh, I didn't eat anything. Okay, so you're malnourished, under-rested, and what else? And I've been scrolling on my phone. Okay, so your dopamine receptors are getting blasted by artificial. No wonder you don't feel good, buddy. You haven't been taking care of yourself. All right, so what's the solution now? Take it a step further. Keep asking those questions until you find answers. And then once you have the answers, now you have an action plan. And then it's up to you. It's like depression is not knowing the answers, and anxiety is feeling like you can't do them. But you can. You just got to ask the right questions.
People get crippled by anticipation. And it's that it flows with the idea of a jump rock. The build up to it is so much scarier than when you do it, you look up and you're like, why did it take me so long to do that? As a kid, I was terrified of roller coasters and I spent all day saying no. And then I was convinced the last moment, just try it. And I tried it and I immediately got off and I was riddled with regret. Why did it take me so long to action it and to do it? And I think the difference between those that do and those that don't is they get crippled by the stress and anxiousness of anticipation. The I won't be able to, the idea of it is so stressful, the I can't. The people that do are the ones that probably think and feel that, but they just do it. Mm-hmm. And then when you do it once, you have that realization of, well, fuck, I did it. I can. I see it in everything. Anticipation just really cripples. But I love also then when you moved into, so many people float through life with the lack of exploration and the lack of ownership. And like when you just broke down the lack of food, the lack of sleep, people just are willing to accept something is shit and it's just what it is. Language is a skill. Some people think, oh, I'm not good at talking, or I'm not this, or I'm not that. It's like, I wasn't either until I cared to learn it, reflect on it, dive into it, think about it. Now it's a skill I have. People just think that I don't have energy or I'm always tired. It's like, why? That question, why, I call it onion peeling. You ask why enough times, you get to the actual reason. I'm tired. I don't have energy. That's why I put on weight. That's why I lack confidence. That's why I sit in my room. It's like, well, if you take ownership, you eat shit. You need to fix your sleep. Do these little things, because we overlook the details and over accept the big arching factor. I'm always tired. I accept that. It's like, well, you're overlooking the small thing. Why? Well, you don't go to fucking bed early enough, or you don't care to get off your phone of a nighttime. So, man, it's blowing my mind the similarities in different fields, different upbringings. There's this people who are successful or become those that others idolize or are coached by others. There's almost this unspoken language they all share. We all have our own different methods. You have your own methods with your clients. I have my own with mine, our own systems, our own thoughts. But it's almost as if it's all born from this same entity, that same thing of stacking your resume, self-respect, taking ownership, reflecting. It slowly just branches out, and I've learned the more people I talk to, these things I thought, yes, I've worked this out, like I get it, which I have in my own way. But then when I hear another person talking about it, they label it different, they go about it different. But in my head, it's like, holy fuck, there's like so many similarities in that. And I find that really interesting. I don't think there are people that are special and those that aren't. I just think there are those that do and those that don't. And those that don't start to idolize and pedestal those that do as a scapegoat. Because those that don't reflect. They're not taking ownership. They don't care to look. So it's easier to be, oh, Tristan's confident. That's just him. He's lucky. It's not, well, did he work to get there? Did he do this? You've maybe sat there and gone, why do I feel insecure? Why don't I lack why do I lack the confidence? Okay, I did this. This worked out. I did that. That worked out. It's nothing, and not taking this away from you, because I'm not taking it away from myself either. We're not special. These people doing things aren't special. They're just doing the things you avoid. There's this quote, love it. The life you dream to live is on the other side of the choices you're not choosing. You're not choosing. And it's just that idea of those living the life that you dream to live, they're just making the choices that you're not.
I don't remember where I heard it, but there's... man, maybe it was John Whiting. But he said, the only reason that you feel jealous of somebody is because you're seeing them act on an idea that you had before. And they took that route that you wanted to take, and now you're jealous because they took it, and you're like, I could have taken that too. And I faced a lot of insecurities or jealousy over this rapper named Blueface. and he came from a similar area and had like a similar music style. He was really unique in his own way, but I wanted to be a rapper too. And I saw him when he pursued it and he went through it and he put the money down and he invested in himself. I was like, that should have been me. It could have been me. It could have been me. And then later in life, I'm like, oh, we had the same idea from the storehouse of information, of knowledge. We saw similar situations and opportunities to jump into a field, and he jumped and I didn't. And I felt selfish, or I felt jealous because I chose leisure, or I chose scarcity, or I chose doubt, and he chose action. And part of me is hurt at my old self for choosing that. And that's why I feel jealousy in this moment. But I didn't have the conscious awareness in the moment to understand that that was what I was actually feeling. So we put a different label on it and we put a different emotional response to it. And we say, oh, he got lucky, or, it's because he's connected to this person or that person. And we make logical explanations for emotional pains. And I think that's one thing as coaches that we all get to break down with our clients is like, the reason that you feel like this way is because emotion, and you're justifying with logic. One of my clients, Nadeem, he told me like, hey Tristan, it's a busy week. I didn't do the homework assignment because the car sales report was coming up and this and that and this and that. And I was like, okay, so let's be honest. You felt emotionally scared on doing the work, so you found a logical explanation to not do it. He's like, yeah, that's what happened. I was like, all right, cool. Now that we're honest with each other, we can move forward. But if you're not honest with me, I can't make growth on fake information.
It's ownership avoidance. Mm-hmm. It's anyone I see succeeding, and like this linking back around to how we started out, they take ownership. It might be the fact that work was stressful as to why you didn't. It's like, okay, now what? You still didn't do it. So you have to take the ownership for your life to change. I said this in episodes a while back. It might not be your fault someone cheated on you. But what's the role I had in that? Because if someone just cheated on you and your life now is the way it is, it's like, okay, fair, but now what? It's like you give your power even more away to that person. Take it back. It's not my fault that it happened, but what's my role? What can I learn? What can I do different? Where can I take myself? People hate accepting that their life is shit from their own hand. And that's hard.
Yeah, that's hard.
It's really hard. No one wants to be the reason their life fucking sucks. But funny enough, when you start to take ownership over where you're at, why you're there, how you got there, and what's going on, your life changes. Because we can complain. Anyone can complain, this is why I didn't do it. It's like, valid, fair. I'll give you the validation. Okay, fair enough. Nothing changes in me saying that. Nothing's changed. So yes, you've excused yourself. You feel good because you got away with the excuse. My opinion of you doesn't change and it hasn't impacted my life, but nothing's now changed. You might not do this thing because of this reason. It's like, right, fair enough. The thing still didn't get done. So if you want to do the thing, take the ownership, take the fact that it's you stopping you, no one else.
I love that. I picked this up from, I think it was Laylo Hermosi, but she said, sorries mean nothing to me if nothing changes. Like, what's the behavioral change that's going to happen after this? And whenever somebody asks me for advice, I could talk for a couple minutes, this or that. But I'm like, hey, here's the thing. If you don't change after this conversation, we both just wasted our time. So I'm going to end it right here and ask you, what's your behavioral change that you're going to do because of this? Okay, this, and this. Cool. That's where the real growth lies. But if you think, and this is why I'm such a proponent against shame and guilt, because shame and guilt, they're heavy notification emotions, like there's something wrong here, but they don't get anything done. Like, okay, that's a notification. Hey, something's wrong here. I shouldn't do that again. But if you continue to do it, then you should stop feeling guilty about it, because now it's just an action. It's a pattern. Like, there's no point in feeling shame about it if you're going to keep on doing it. You might as well love it. Like, if you have a bad habit, if you're not going to stop smoking cigarettes, there's no point in feeling bad when you're smoking cigarettes. Enjoy it. You're going down the path that you're going down. Enjoy that cancer. Hey, bro, if you're going to hurt yourself, it might as well have fun while you're doing it. Don't hurt yourself in both areas, in both camps. So, like, I like what you said right there. It's, if nothing changes, nothing changes. Real change requires real change. So
I think, man, anything that's repeated more than twice becomes a choice. Honestly though, and I do that with work. I always say to anyone I'm giving advice, whether it's family, friends, whether it's clients, I will never judge you for the mistakes you make or the amount of mistakes you make, but I will 100% hold you accountable for the same mistake repeating over and over. And it's a little bit cliche to say you do something once, it's fine, you do it twice, it's a choice, but it is a truth. If you're continuously seeing a pattern pop up, the ownership is you are choosing it. It is at your fault.
So there's a good book. It's called Existential Kink, but it's a shadow work book, and it says having is as evidence of desire. So it's like whether you're in credit card debt or whether you're overweight or whether there's this bad thing, this thing that you label bad. If you own it, at some point you desired it. There's something inside of you that said, you know what, I want to feel like this. I like this stress. I like it when I choose partners that cheat on me internally, because we are the universe of pleasing here. It's like we attract. If the law of attraction is true, whatever you have right now, you desired at some point, no matter how ugly, no matter how heinous, no matter how treacherous. And if you're saying like, oh, what about, kids that get hit by stray bullets? It's like, okay, maybe they didn't manifest it, but there was a group manifestation that was deeper than that person's manifestation that made that event happen. And we are all suspect to that. That's environment. That's the community that we find ourselves in. So if there's anything in your life, good, bad, ugly, relationship, up, down, left, or right, at some point unconsciously you desired it, and now you have it. So figure out what that unconscious desire is, make it conscious, and figure out if you want to continue to desire it.
I think I asked you the rapid fire question, do we always have choice? And I agree with that, we do, but the choices we have aren't always what we might ideally want. And I think that's really important, because someone might hear that you always have choice and think, well, I don't, because it's either this or this. It's like, well, you do have a choice, but it's not always the choices you want. I put up a post the other week. Often the requests and goals we have are answered adverse to how we want them to be. So we want humility, we're humbled. If we want to have strength, we're given stress, we're given really tough times to carry. If we want to be more kind, we're probably tested to be mean. We're tested in that sense of you have the opportunity to. And a lot of the time we think, well, I want to have this and it's going to happen through this pathway, but normally it happens through the pathway you don't want. So I had a moment where I was talking, I wanted to online coach. And as I was speaking that, I wanted it to happen this way, but it started happening. This was when I first started, maybe when I was 16 or 17. It started happening where clients were leaving me. And I was like, well, I'm speaking it and I want this to happen. It's just not happening the way I want it to. But what I want to have happen will happen and it will come about. And it's like that aspect that, yeah, you can't obtain something without working for it. And you might not like the way you have to work for it.
In meditation, are you familiar with Dr. Joe Dispenza?
Yes, yeah.
So his whole thing about manifestation is like the infinite storehouse of wisdom will give it to you in a way that you least expect it. And it's like you can make plans. You can make all the plans in the world. Doesn't mean that it's going to happen that way. It's going to happen. You're going to have that thing that you desire in your life. But like you said before, it's like it's on the other side of doing work that you don't want to do. It's on the other side of asking questions that you don't want to ask. And it's going to come in a way that you probably least expect it. I wanted to be famous for a long time, and the way that it happened was a way that I was meditating heavily at the time, and it came in a way that blindsided me like a left hook. I did no way that I could see this Black Swan event happening, and somebody interviews me on the street. I forget that the interview even happens. 2 weeks later, it goes crazy viral on Twitter. Wow. Okay, and now I'm thrusted into the limelight, quote unquote, but it came in a way with an audience that I didn't want, and a subject topic that didn't serve me, and all these different ways. Like, okay, this desire was met in a way that I did not see coming, and in a way now that I'm like, I wish it didn't necessarily come this way. But in the time, it's like, oh, wow, it's happening. So, I mean, I think that the universe is the greatest trickster to ever exist. It'll test you. Like, do you really want it? It's like you say you want it. Here's a substitute. It's almost it. And it'll happen like maybe 3 or 4 times, and then you really say, no, I really want it. It's like, all right, here's this really hard event that you have to go through. And you're like, why am I going through this? And then you have the thing, and you're like, yeah.
And that's why consistency and seeing something through is super important. So I had a financial stress maybe 3 years ago that I didn't wish for, but it forced me to have a conversation with someone that then granted a goal or wish I had 2 years prior to that.
Uh-huh.
And the way that worked through is something I didn't want to have happen, the work you don't want to do, can lead to the outcome that you eventually or essentially desired and wanted. And that's why when things aren't working, you don't just give it up straight away. There's a difference between flogging a dead horse and just giving up. But if things aren't working the way you want, it doesn't mean you should give up. If it's not happening at the speed you want, it doesn't mean you should give up. There's this childlike painting analogy of two diamond miners, and one is one more stroke away from hitting the jackpot. But because he gave up and had been going for so long, the one at the top kept going regardless, and eventually got there. And this a thought I have with podcasting and posting and social media and helping someone, that the next thing you do could be it. The next choice you make, someone that is still failing with weight loss, the next change you make could be it. Person who keeps getting rejected and doesn't have friends, the next convo you have could be it. And that's why that idea of giving up or calling it quits is just so scary, because the next thing could be it for you.
And it's you're 3 feet away from gold, or like that concept of like, all right, it could be this swing right here. And I am a very positive person, but sometimes in the past, I'm going to be really careful with my words here. In the past, I had lacked an optimistic mindset where today could be the day. Today could be the day that it changes. Today could be the day that we hit that home run. Today could be the day. And we walk into the day with that, especially with the power of the internet. Like, here's the thing. If you step into the arena, you make a video, it could go crazy viral. But I don't know what the percentage chance is of virality. Like, I don't know what the number is, but it's a chance. It's like if you're playing like Solana meme coins, there's a chance that it could be, I don't know what the number is, but at least there's a chance. You're at least putting yourself in an opportunity to hit a home run. And if you strike out, well, how quickly are you going to get back in line so you can get up to bat? I was at 10X Conference 2020 in Las Vegas, and I think it was Kevin Hart and Scooter Braun. They were talking on stage, and they were talking how similar they were. And Kevin Hart was like, if there's a line 1 million people long, and the person that hits a home run gets what they want, they hit that desire, that goal, I'm going to be in that line. And if I strike out and miss, I'm going to be back in that line before I even drop the bat, because that's how badly I want it. And that type of idea of like, it's going to happen is so attractive to the universe. It's so different. I'm not even going to say it's hard to keep up. It's different than what the average speak of the universe is, or what we are as a community. But to be able to say, it doesn't matter if it misses this time, I'm going to hit, 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 I'm going to get it, I'm going to get it, I'm going to go, I'm going to get back in line. It doesn't matter how long the line is, I'm going to find a way to get it. That type of tenacity is what separates those that do and those that don't.
Well, it stems in with that concept that it might, and it's probably likely it won't, but if you don't, it's guaranteed not to.
Guaranteed.
It's guaranteed not to. And I think I almost think those that do well are slightly delusional to those that don't understand their vision, because they have that relentless aspect of it. I know for a fact my podcast will be big. One day it's going to be huge. Why? Because it's just something I'm going to keep going for. If I was to ever sit here and think, oh, it might not, or it's probably not, it's like, yeah, it's then not going to. So if there's a chance it could, you may as well go for it, because by not, you guarantee that it won't. Into that camera, what is one piece of advice or a question or a thought you want my audience to have, ask, or think more often?
The growth that you're searching for is on the other side of maybe shame that you're holding, or progress that you're afraid of having, and sitting down away from other stimulus, away from the phone, away from any outside distractions, and allowing yourself to process that fear, process that shame, process and question why it is that you're blocking yourself from pursuing after that. Because in reality, success is simple. It's not easy, but it's simple. You do these things, and success leaves clues, as you probably heard before. But why aren't you doing those things? and figuring out what emotional blocks are there so that you can dismantle them and move past them. That's been the biggest growth point for me. So turning the phone off, separating yourself from distraction, separating yourself from outside stimulus, and getting to know who you are and what fears you have is going to be really, really, really life-changing for you. I put money on it. I put my word on it. It's worth more than money because it's happened to me, and I can give you that same advice to go into the future with.
Season 4, episode 15 with Tristan, bro. I appreciate it.
Pleasure, big guy.
Thank you so much.